Gaffer, obviously a few days have now passed since our last game against Carlisle. Now you've had a few days to reflect, watch back the game. What are your main takeaways from that?
I think it's always disappointing when you lose a local derby, and unfortunately we've come out on the wrong side against Carlisle. When I watched the game back, I still felt pretty similar to what I said after the game. I felt we didn't create enough opportunities ourselves to go and score goals against Carlisle, and that was disappointing. And then obviously we've had a couple of moments which haven't gone our way for one reason or another. I've seen those decisions sort of go for you as well. So it was one of those games. We have to move on from it now. We've got a big game at the weekend against Port Vale, and we look forward to that one now.
Have you been trying to tweak much from the weekend's game, or is it more still about trying to become the best version of your Barrow?
No, I think you're always looking to make improvements, and after every game, whether you win or you lose, you look at things where you've done well, and you look at things that you can get better at, and that's been no different this week. There has to be a process behind it all of constantly trying to improve, and that's been the same this week.
Obviously, just before the Carlisle game, you had some disappointment with Rory dropping out of the squad. How's he been doing right now?
I would say Rory's probably 50-50, whether he's involved at the weekend. He's definitely a lot better than what he was last weekend, but he hasn't trained for the first part of the week, and we'll have to see how the next couple of days goes now to see whether he can put himself in contention to be selected.
Obviously, a couple of other players missing, slightly more long term, but how have they been getting on this week?
Well, Sam Barnes is back on the grass and doing rehab work. Stokesy's still with the physios, but will hopefully be on the grass at the start of next week. Mazid is out on the grass doing physical work again as part of his continued rehab. So yeah, they're actually progressing okay. Unfortunately, it seems to be a lot of defenders that we have out injured at the moment, but they're on their way back and they're making steps forward slowly.
I suppose mentally for them it must be a lot better to even just have that difference of doing work out on the pitch, to be out with the lads and to have a couple of people with them.
Look, there's nothing worse than being injured for a football player. Unfortunately, I experienced it a hell of a lot myself when I was playing, and it can be a lonely place. And I think people think sometimes football players are happy to be injured and not to be involved, and think, well, they're still picking up their money and blah blah blah. But I think it's a load of nonsense. That it's what you've done all your life since you was a little boy, and you've been pretty good at it, and then you make it in professional football, and then all of a sudden when you can't play, it's not very nice. So I think it's really important for myself and for my coaches and for the staff to make sure they get around the injured players and make sure they're in a good place mentally, because it is very tough when you're injured as a football player.
And looking at the game this weekend, obviously we already played Port Vale very recently. Is there much that you can take from that game into this weekend?
Of course there is. Look, I've probably seen all of Port Vale's games this season because we studied them before we played them in the Cup game, and now we've studied them again going into this game. So I don't expect their style to be too much different to what they've played so far this season. Their personnel might be different again from the one that we played in the Cup. But look, that doesn't really matter to me who's on the team sheet. It's down to how we perform. We're at home, we're playing at Holker Street, we've got a good record there. I don't think people particularly enjoy coming to us, and we've got to make sure that we make it very, very difficult for Port Vale at the weekend. We're unbeaten at home this season. We're in a pretty good place. Yeah, we've lost our last game, but marginally. We certainly weren't outplayed. And yeah, we go into this one still in confident mood and looking to get the 3 points.
In terms of already being back at home, is it quite nice to have all of these home games and being back at home Tuesday as well? Is it nice to have this group of home games you like to say make this a tough place to go nice and quickly?
I think so. Obviously, it's easier playing at home. There's no doubt about that. And obviously, it's great the support we do have there. It's fantastic. I have to say, the support we had away at Carlisle was fantastic at the weekend. And thank you again to all of them that got up early and made that trip to come and support us. But look, it is nice playing at home. It's easier for a football player. So yeah, it's nice to have the games at home. And obviously, we've got another one on Tuesday against Derby, which I think that'll bring a good following, and hopefully we'll come out in our numbers too, and that'll be another good game to look forward to.
Do you think in terms of that Derby game, it's beneficial to be at home to have them travelling up to us and using that home advantage?
Well, look, I think wherever you come from in the country, Barrow is a little bit out of the way, and it is the travelling time it takes to get to come and play us is difficult for away teams. I've said it before. I experienced it myself. We come from Gillingham last year. I can't remember how long it took us, but we was on the train, and then we had some traffic when we got off the train at Lancaster, and it was a long day. And as we all know, whenever we travel any sort of distance, whether you're going on your holidays or whether you're travelling to work or whatever it is, it can take it out of you, that travel. So we have to use that to our advantage, and it does help us. I've got no doubt about that. But the most important is how we play. So when teams turn up and play us at Holker Street, it's how we perform on the pitch. And I want us to make sure that what the supporters do see is a team that is full of energy and really gets about their opponent and tries to play attacking football on the back of that. And that's what we aim to bring every home game.
Thank you very much.
No problem.